भगवदादिष्टो मर्त्यलोकं जिहासता मर्त्यलोकं जिहासता ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राज्ञ ऋषिः कौशारवो अन्तिके साक्षात् भगवतादिष्टो मर्त्यलोकं जिहासता उद्धव उवाच ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राज्ञ ऋषिः कौशारवो अन्तिके साक्षात् भगवतादिष्टो मर्त्यलोकं जिहासता Said, Nanu, however, te of yourself, Tattva Samradhyaha, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. Rishihi, learned scholar. Kausharavaha, unto the son of Kushara, Maitreya. Antike, staying nearby. Sakshat, directly, Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead. Adishtaha, instructed. Martyalokam, mortal world. Jihasata, while quitting. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Sri Uddhava said, you may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Please repeat the translation. Sri Uddhava said, you may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although one may be very well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a great personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vatikrama, because by doing so, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame and piety, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. but he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interest of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo-spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Doesn't Sri Bhaktivedanta Parama. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are seeing the mood of Uddhava and the etiquette, a Vaishnava etiquette, how he is setting an example. Uddhava Uvacha, Uddhava is saying, Nanute Tattva Samradhya. So for one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge, Rishihi Kausharava Antike. There was a great sage of name Maitreya, and Antike, he is staying nearby only. Sakshat Bhagavatadishtaha. And you may doubt his capacity, you may understand, he was also directly instructed by the Lord. Sakshat Bhagavatadishtaha. So when, you may question, when did he instruct him? Martya Lokam Jihasata. When the Lord was about to quit this material world, the Lord instructed me and Maitreya, both of us were there. So you have a desire to understand this transcendental knowledge, you may please proceed and understand from Rishi Maitreya. So what is the specific aspect here, what we should learn from this perspective? One should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vatikrama. So there is always an etiquette. So one should follow or practice this etiquette. In a Vaishnava Parampara, always respect the senior and give first opportunity to the senior is the Maryada Vatikrama process. So, because by doing so, if you don't follow this process, what happens? One loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, piety and the blessings of all the world. So, if you disrespect a Vaishnava, what practically happens is communicated here. Everything what we earn by our capacity, everything will be ruined, everything will be lost. Duration of life, one loses his duration of life, ayuhu, his opulence, shriyaha, fame and piety, punya, and blessings of all world, ashirvadaha. So whatever you have earned, everything becomes Shiva. This is almost like Vaishnava Aparada. So then, Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father. And therefore, Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. So there is one thing, Uddhava is also a great devotee of the Lord. He is much more personal associate of the Lord compared to Maitreya. Through Uddhava's teaching, Maitreya got elevated. Earlier he was in a mixed devotion. He was not fully clarity about this transcendental knowledge. But in the vicinity, by hearing from Lord Krishna, the direct instructions to Uddhava, Maitreya was also evolved in his position of pure devotional service. Now, because why Uddhava would have directed him to Maitreya? One is the age gap. Because there is a younger and older personality. The way it has to be communicated, the way it is being respected, in a Vaishnava terms it is okay, but in practical terms, he thought this is not compatible because a junior speaking to an elderly personality, this may not be compatible. And one more thing is, Uddhava was also feeling that he has a specific duty which was ordered to him by the Lord, that go and associate with the sages of Badrikashrama. So he wanted to execute his instruction, which is priority to him, or else he might get delayed in executing the order of the Lord. This might be the second reason. Okay, then next. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So we may have all the qualifications, one may have all the qualifications. When there is a senior Vaishnava, we should first give opportunity to senior Vaishnava. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become spiritual master of Vidura. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to become the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. So on what basis Maitreya was decided? He was also instructed by the Lord, but because he was elderly in capacity and he could handle him in a better way. So Maitreya was given the first facility. So if you understand, Maitreya, he also was a class friend of Vyasadeva. Both of them were studying under Parasara Muni. So he was much senior in age and much competent in personality, means he was also well versed in all the Vedic knowledge. Because he heard from Parashara. Parashara is previous Vyasadeva in one particular millennium. So he was also very well experienced in all the subjects of transcendental details. And he was a close friend of Vyasadeva. In that way also, he is also expertise in understanding the basics for today's situation. And he was directly instructed by the Lord in the form of Uddhava Gita. He also became fully equipped with what is necessary in practicality. So many of us know in theory, but how do we apply in practice? That's where the difference comes. So from senior to junior, what is the difference? Everybody have understood the philosophy. Everybody have read Prabhupada's books. What is practicality is, the seniors will be able to implement it, juniors will be in the only theoretical level. Like for example, 4 devotees were there, or 3-4 devotees, and we all have gone for a trip, taking some folk boys or congregation. Now one boy is asking a question. Now who will answer in the 4? All of the 4 were sitting, and one boy is asking a question. Now who will generally answer? Senior would try to answer. But generally our mentality, because we are in a conditioned stage, the senior will try to present his understanding of the point. A junior, he thinks, I could have explained in a better way. This is a thought feeling comes to us. I am saying this is practically, this is what we go through. It's not that we are free from all these qualities and all. Sir, Prabhu had answered in a different way. I could have given a better answer to it. Or I could have given an even more twist to it. I could have added story to it. I could have enhanced the understanding. I could have given a better feeling for that person. This is what our as a limited personality, our conditioning, our mindset will think about the situation. And sometimes out of impudence or out of ignorance, when somebody is saying, we add in between lines, or we wanted to show, I also know this subject. So this is what etiquette is. So when you are asked, so this is how the difference between practice and just starter, practitioner and starter. Okay, in these 2 considerations are there. When I am senior, okay, taking an example, when I am senior and some junior is there, and he is trying to say something, sometimes it may fit with the philosophy or it may not fit with the philosophy. So how I should handle the situation? Second one is, I am junior and there is a senior available. Because we experience these both things. Because I always will be in the association either of seniors or somebody juniors. So how do I handle the circumstances? How do I not get carried away? One thing happens is, if somebody explains better than us, we become jealous or we become envious of him. And if somebody is not able to explain properly, we become proud. Okay, I could have given, I know better. So this is the general tendency not to get carried away by circumstances, so that we are, one is we are not offending the Vaishnava either in mind or in words or in actions. Second thing is we don't become proud in the process, or we don't become envy of the devotees in the process, and we lose our devotional service. So those teaching us in this perspective, Bhagavatam is teaching us. First thing, when we read a verse, we try to think, okay, what it is trying to communicate. That is one thing. What is for me to practice? Always this Bhagavatam is trying to enhance our character. See, when you are saying Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, it is trying to build a character out of a personality. So what is that this verse is trying to aim to, what I can learn from this verse? And because every verse will have hundreds of dimensions to present a subject. The same subject can be seen in all different angles of vision. That's what Prabhupada had asked us to study Bhagavatam. Now, how do I understand, how do I increase my level of perceiving the subject? So this is what practically what we are supposed to go through. Okay, others have opinion, you can understand that opinion. If there is a required process, on their permission, we can speak. So, how do we handle this situation? The first thing is, in one particular place in Bhagavatam, this is between Chitraketu and Narada. Chitraketu was mentioning, so one has to become humble, which will enable him to take shelter of senior personalities. He says, Tasmad yuyam gramya pashor mamamuda diya prabhu ande tamasi magnasya jnana deepa udiryatam. Tasmaduyam, you got both of you, Prabho, are great personalities. Because Parvat Muni and Narad Muni had come to preach to Chitraketu. And he said, Gramya Pashor Mamaha. I am like an animal, Gramya Pasho. Either I am a dog or I am a pig. It is called as Gramya Pasho. Muda Diyaha. My intelligence is full of ignorance. Ande Tamasi Magnasya. I am already in the darkness of ignorance. Material world, ande tamasi magnasya, I am in this darkness. Jnana deepa udiryatam. With the transcendental knowledge, awaken. They merged in this darkness of ignorance. So when we are humble only, we become recipient to receive the knowledge. So most of the times when somebody inquires a question, and we are not ready to hear the answer. Okay, everybody are asking questions. I should show that I am knowledgeable enough. I am very special person. I can ask beautiful questions. But are you looking for answer? So this is one perspective. Next. So whole of this is mind game. All the perspectives are, whenever we see, because we are in a comparative world, we start comparing everything. And in this process, mind will enhance or mind will degrade our personality. Entire Bhagavad Gita is centered around how to control this mind. Now, how do we make this mind an instrument for us which will take us close to Krishna? How to purify the mind? So, Bhagavatam, Kapiladeva explains a systematic way how mind can be controlled. And when you control the mind, what actually happens? So he says, Nishevitena animittena swadharmena mahiyasha kriya yogena shastena na ati himsarena nityasaha. So he is giving the duties of a devotee, what one should do at different levels. If you are a Kanishtadhikari, what you should do, as a Madhyamadhikari, what you should do, as a Muttamadhikari, what you should do. He is saying, Nishevitena swadharmena, one should execute prescribed duties. Then, Mahiyasha, which are glorious. We should act in such a way, it is a glorious activity. Then, Animittena, without any material profit. Because we do all our activities in expectation of something. So, we should act in such a way which is glorious and without any material expectation. Then, Na Ati Himsena, without any excessive violence. And Kriya Yogena Nityasaha Shashtena. One should perform one's devotional activities regularly. So this is for a Kanishtadhikari. One should practice. Then, Madishnya Darshana Sparsha Puja Suta Abhivandanaihi Bhuteshu Mad Bhavanaya Satvena Asangena Cha. Next, Madishnya, you should see my deity, Madishnya, Darshana, by seeing the deity, Sparsha, by touching my lotus feet, Puja, by worshipping or by offering paraphernalia, Stuti, by offering prayers, Abhivandanadaihi, by paying obeisances, by respecting the deity. Well, in that way, Bhuteshu Mad Bhavanaya, seeing all living entities in perspective of Paramatma, not envying any other living entities. Positive way is in perspective of Paramatma, we see them in the spiritual platform. The other way is not to envy other living entities. Then, Satvena Asangayana Cha, in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness, see every living entity as spiritual. Next, Mahatam Bahumanena Deenanam Anukampaya Maitra Chaivatma Tulyeshu Yamena Niyamena Cha. So the pure devotees, Mahatam, the devotee should execute devotional service by giving great respect to the spiritual master and acharyas. Mahatam Bahumanena. Bahumanena means by giving respect to Mahatam, to all the great devotees. I may be a great devotee, but I should respect other devotees also. Next, Deenanam Anukampaya. For Deenanam means for poor-hearted people. One should be compassionate. Maitreya Chaivatma Tulyeshu. For those who are on an equal platform, he should make friendship with one. Jai Shri Radha Govinda ki. Then Yamena Niyamena Cha. One should practice all the rules and regulations with the control of senses. See, this is a perspective. Always we keep meeting 4 categories of people. One is superiors. So we should give all respect to the superiors. Second one is inferiors. We should be compassionate towards the inferiors. Third one is we meet people of equal caliber. So we should make friendship with the people of equal caliber. And fourth one is we should practice the rules and regulations in whatever stage we are. We may be senior, junior, or whatever we are. We should practice all the rules and regulations, and one should have regulate a control of his senses. Okay, next. Adhyatmika Anushravanam Nama Sankirtana Chame Arjavenarya Sangena Niraham Kriyaya Tata. So, Adhyatmika Anushravanat, one should always try to hear spiritual topics. So, one should be very keen to hear about spirituality. Then, Nama Sankirtana Chame, one should constantly chant about the holy name of the Lord. Then, Niraham Kriyaya, then Arjavena, with straightforward, simple and straightforward. The personality should be, he should be a straightforward and simple personality. Then, Niraham Kriyaya Tata, always be friendly to everyone without being envious to others. Then, Arya Sangena, and one should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. One should associate with devotees who are advanced. So, if you follow this process, and if you take the technical details of all these perspectives, then Mad Dharmano Gunay Reitaihi Parisamshuddha Asayaha Purushasya Anjasa Abhyeti Shrutamatra Gunan Himam. So, for a person, Purushasya Mad Dharmano Gunaihi Etaihi, one who is qualified with all these transcendental qualities, Asyaha Parisamshuddha, his consciousness becomes purified. So, by doing this, the consciousness is purified. Then, Anjasa Abhyati, he becomes immediately attracted. For what? Shrutimatra Gunan Himam, of hearing my name or my transcendental qualities. So, how to develop that affinity to hear Krishna Katha is by practicing the principles as mentioned in the above. And this is a realistic process. This is what the practical thing what Kapila Muni is explaining to his mother Devhuti. So all of us might be thinking, okay, I am not getting the taste. Earlier I used to be very enthusiastic. I used to be very keen to hear. Nowadays I don't feel like hearing. Nowadays I am not getting the taste. Means somewhere in the process we are lacking. Or we are not practicing the yamena niyamena sha properly. The rules and regulation, the do's and don'ts. And control of the senses. So if you can do all these things, our consciousness can get attracted towards spiritual topics. And there is one specific pastime about Lord Nityananda. All of you went to Mayapur, some of you had gone to Mayapur and Ekachakra. So this is one place where Nityananda Prabhu had delivered a group of thieves. So one day when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Nilachala, so every year devotees used to come from Bengal. So Nityananda Prabhu was initially staying with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only for a few years. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided, we are here to preach. So he started calling devotees and assigning them, you go to specific area and preach in that area. So in a seclusion, he took Nityananda Prabhu and he had ordered him to go to Bengal and preach. You are here to preach. The more you preach, the more I become satisfied. That's the wish of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And whenever Nityananda Prabhu used to dance, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come there. So there are specific moods in which Lord Nityananda or Chaitanya are inseparable. So Nityananda Prabhu was sent to Bengal with some of the associates to preach in that specific area. So when Nityananda Prabhu was in the house of Raghava Pandita at Panihati, so when he heard one beautiful voice, Madhava Ghosh, one of the singers, was singing in a beautiful voice. So Nityananda Prabhu became very ecstatic. He went on to a throne and he sat there on the Vishnu's throne. And all the devotees immediately, he started performing him Abhishekam ceremony. Then Nityananda Prabhu said, I want a Kadamba garland. And actually there is no Kadamba tree and it is not the time for Kadamba flowers. Because you don't get Kadamba flowers all around the year. But Nityananda Prabhu had ordered. Now then they were all thinking in anxiety, how we can give flowers and this is not the season. Then Nityananda Prabhu said, go outside, there is a lemon tree. On that tree, you will have all the Kadamba flowers fully blossoming, fully blooming. So if you go to Raghav Pandit's house, even there that tree is there. That lemon tree to which it blossomed Kadamba flowers. Or you will get only now lemon fruits. But the will of Lord Nityananda, as soon as they went there, outside the tree is full of Kadamba flowers and they are fully blooming. So they immediately plucked all the flowers, they made a garland and they had put to Nityananda Prabhu. And when they are all experiencing this transcendental happiness, suddenly they had a different smell there. It is a smell of Damanaka flowers. And everybody were wondering where these flowers are coming from. Then Nityananda Prabhu said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come there wearing this garland from Jagannath Puri because he became very carried away by the ecstasy and by the singing of all the devotees here. So whenever Nityananda Prabhu dances in ecstasy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come there. Like we all see in Raghunath Das Goswami's story, in Panihati, this is the same place again. Nityananda Prabhu was only there. But by his capacity, he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there and both of them were playing around. Only few people, the close associates only could perceive that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. Other devotees could not feel that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. So in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come there and everybody enjoyed the association. Then Nityananda Prabhu, from there, he made everybody, all the people in that area, devotees, even from children to elderly people. He gave mercy of Krishna Prema to all of them. From there, after a few days, he went to Shantipur, he met with Advaita Acharya. Both of them had nice conversations and discussions about Krishna Tattva. From there, feeling separation from Mother Sachi, he went to Mayapur and he went and stayed in Sachi Devi's house and served her and took prasadam from her. So one day, he stayed in the house of Hiranya Pandita, a great devotee, who is simple at heart, very poor, but very rich in Krishna Bhakti. Even though many associates were there, Lord Nityananda thought he is the best personality, so he stayed in his house. So there was some other devotee who wanted to decorate the Lord with all the golden ornaments. So he had made very beautiful, costliest, richest ornaments and decorated Lord Nityananda. And Nityananda was also wearing these ornaments and walking on the road. So, and he was going house to house and encouraging people to chant the holy name. So requesting people to chant the name of the Lord and engage them into devotees. So there was one Brahmana who was by birth Brahmana, but being in the association of bad people, he became a dacoit. He was a leader of dacoits. He is very sinful and he is very cunning. We know all the dacoits, how they try to plan, how they try to cheat, even up to the point of murder. They are ready to do all sinful activities. So he saw Nityananda Prabhu and he saw all the jewelry. Then he thought, what am I doing? Every day going around for small things. If I can loot this one person, our life is done. So he started following Nityananda Prabhu. He started observing Nityananda Prabhu, where and all he is going, what time he will be where he will be sleeping. Like he started making a full analysis, full chart, how to rob Nityananda Prabhu. So he went and informed all his associates, there is whole life I have been struggling hard. How long we will struggle hard? Our days of good fortune are coming. I have seen one person. So if you just loot him, our life is done. We did not work for the entire life. So all the associates also became very enthusiastic. So they all decided, so and so day, we will go and attack Nityananda Prabhu and we will steal away all his jewelry. And Nityananda Prabhu, we know, he is Supreme Lord, the first expansion of Lord Krishna, Baladeva. So he could understand the mood of these dacoits. So he wanted to play around with these people. Okay, you wanted to loot? Okay, come, I will show you what is my capacity. So first night all of them went. They sent one spy, go and see what is happening there. So the spy went there. So Nityananda Prabhu is eating prasadam. All the devotees were chanting and they were all in ecstasy. And they were all dancing and chanting, and you know how the kirtan means. So this spy came back and said, I see Nityananda Prabhu was eating, but all the other people are like sentimentalists. They are chanting, dancing, rolling on the ground. Somebody are crying. So like that he was explaining the situation, because outside people they can't understand what is bhakti, what is ecstasy. So they were thinking, okay, let us wait for some more time. So everybody will sleep. So this ecstasy will go on for a few minutes, and once their sentimentalism is down, they'll all sleep. So they are waiting, and Nityananda Prabhu had desired, by the will of Nityananda Prabhu, all of them fell asleep. And everybody sleep, and early morning when they woke up, it is already like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. The crows were making sounds and sun was there in the sky. Then everybody immediately hid their weapons and they ran away from that place. Then everybody started blaming each other. You are the cause, you slept off, because of you I slept off. Then they started blaming each other. Then Nityananda Prabhu, that dacoit, the leader said, let us stop quarreling. I could understand the reason why we are sleeping. We had gone there without worshipping Mother Chandi, Mother Durga. That is the problem. So tonight we will worship her very nicely, we will take her blessings and we will be able to conquer the situation. They don't know. Mother Durga is a servant of Lord Krishna and all the Vishnu Tattvas. So they all nicely worshipped Mother Durga with wine and meat and other things and all. And they all got ready. And when they went near the house of Nityananda Prabhu, they saw huge personalities, double the size of human beings. We are average 6 feet, they are all like 12 feet height. And each one is holding unlimited weapons. And their personalities were walking like, that the professional guards, the hefty personalities like, that WW builders, something like that. When they walk that majestic way, the seeing itself, these people frightened. Where did these people come from? I have never seen these people in our life. How did these people, where are they? Each person can immediately smash with his hand 100 people there. They were ready to, capable to smash 100 people. So where did all these people, they were wondering, who are these people? Where did they come from? Then that leader was thinking, maybe some rich influential person has sent his army to guard Nityananda Prabhu, or Nityananda Prabhu could feel, because everybody were thinking he is very wise man, so he could have deputed these people, or the king himself would have sent all these people for guarding Nityananda Prabhu. Then they all vanished from there, because seeing that personality, they all vanished. They were thinking, let us wait for one more opportunity. After 10 days, they came there again, but this time when they came there, It was Amavasya, almost like dead night. When they came there, they all fell down in pits. Each one fell down in different pits, and it is said they all became blind. They could not, because they are already materially blind. So spiritually blind, they became materially blind also. Then they fell into various situations and they started crying out of agony and fear. Some fell into a ditch and were bitten by leeches, mosquitoes and bees. Others fell into a heap of garbage and were stung with swarms of scorpions. And others fell on thorns which pierced their bodies so they could not move, while others fell into a hole and break their bodily limbs. So all different people, different experience. And finally, Indra, seeing the situation, he had sent a severe cyclone, heavy storms. So physical battering is there from down, and from top heavy rain was falling. And they were all pleading for their life. Survive, बच गया तो जिंदा है तो बस है, ये पैसा नहीं चाहिए, ये ज्वेलरी नहीं चाहिए. That almost came to that situation. At that particular point, when they were experiencing this extreme pain, there was a change of heart in that dacoit. He thought all these things is possible only because of Nityananda Prabhu, because I heard about Nityananda Prabhu. So then he thought, there is who can give shelter at this particular point? Only Nityananda Prabhu can give shelter. I may die or I may alive. That is secondary situation. My only wish, I wanted to become a servant of Nityananda Prabhu and serve for my whole life. But as soon as this sincere prayer was observed by Nityananda Prabhu, so he gave them the eyesight and he reduced the torture what they were going through. The next day morning, he immediately went to Nityananda Prabhu, fell down at his feet, and he had explained to him all the events which had transpired. And he took shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu gave assurance, if you don't practice his sinful life further, I assure you of liberating you from this. And Nityananda Prabhu, as soon as he touched him, that man came back to ecstasy, and he had experienced what is spiritual touch. So, and by his association, all the other dacoits in that entire area became devotees. So what mercy we ought to receive, pass on that mercy. Then we become faster advancement in Krishna consciousness. If we try to hold on, I should only become devotee, others should not become, then we are losing the opportunity. And we will become the devotees. But if you pass on, you will become faster advanced in your spiritual life. So when we approach superior people and when we engage in their service, we get three things. First one is knowledge. Second one is understanding of the subject. And third one is we get realization. And fourth one is the result of all these three is we get Krishna Prema. So in their association, one can easily attain Krishna Prema by serving the Vaishnavas in a proper mode. So we should be very grateful for all the things what Prabhupada has given us in a way where we could associate, we could understand, we could get the knowledge, we could get the understanding, we could share his realizations to increase our realization, our understanding, and finally, once we are purified completely, we will get that love of Godhead. So I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133